In this video, I want to describe to you guys what happened last week after I started my own 5-week ChatGPT challenge. Basically, I just wanted to learn as much as I could about using ChatGPT. I do a lot of content creation, and I also have a kind of an ADHD brain, and I get overwhelmed. I have a lot of clients that I'm juggling now, and so I know that this tool could help me, but I just didn't know exactly how to get it to help me. And so I thought, yeah, let's do this challenge. A friend actually brought it up to me. There was something she wanted to learn. She wanted to focus on for 5 weeks. And I thought, so she brought it up to me and I was like, okay, well, what do I want to focus on for 5 weeks? And I thought, you know what? AI is probably a pretty good place to focus right now. So I chose ChatGPT because I had already been using it for probably a few months, just in general, like asking it questions. And I genuinely thought it searched the internet to get the answers and then brought things back to me. However, I should have known after it completely made up an answer for something I asked it for a fact about a specific city, and it gave me an answer that was not factual at all. And so I went back to it and was like, can you give me the source for that? And it was like, no, I can't. And I'm like, what? Yeah, it made it up. So now I understand why. So let me tell you how ChatGPT actually works. It basically has been fed thousands and thousands of transcripts. And from taking in those transcripts, it breaks down all the words into what they call tokens. And so essentially, single syllable words might be a single token, or if something has is or pre in the beginning, then it knows what those mean, and it breaks that up into helping it understand what you're asking it for. Essentially, it is not a researcher, it's not Google, it doesn't think, it doesn't understand. It literally just takes the words that you're giving it and then searches all the words that it's learned and all the transcripts and all the reading that it's already done. And it predicts what you want to receive back from it. Have you ever been on Facebook and you see a post where somebody is use predictive text to finish the rest of this sentence, and then it'll say like, I want to go to, and then you take your phone and you type in I want to go to, and then there's words that pop up in the center, and you just keep clicking until it makes typically a pretty funny sentence, because it is just guessing what it thinks you want to say based on what you've said recently or whatever. So it essentially is like that, except on except on androids, but that doesn't make any sense. It's essentially like that, except on steroids. It's huge. It's a huge master of predictive text, essentially. I thought that was really interesting. So now this brings to why it's so important to make sure that your prompts are written really well, really descriptive. Your prompts just meaning your questions that you're asking it, right? So you could think of ChatGPT as you could train it to actually be like your virtual assistant. You could train it to be a social media content creator or a life coach almost. I mean, it's not human, so it's not going to be able to have the same abilities as a real life coach, but it can walk you through things to think about. And so as you think about ways that you could use ChatGPT to make things quicker in your life or even easier, then you want to think about the questions that you're asking it. What you're asking it to do, you have to be super specific. And so in the beginning of this challenge, it had me ask very simple questions. And then it had me, now get more specific on those questions. You can ask it to use a specific tone when it speaks back to you. Not speaks, but writes back to you. You can ask it for a specific mood, or use these words, don't use these words. So as you're working with it, it is learning more and more about what you want. Now, I will say that I ended up paying for the $20 a month subscription just because from what I had learned is that the free version is, pretty good playing around with it, but it is not as good and it doesn't remember as much as the paid version, is basically what ChatGPT itself told me. So essentially, if you pay for it, it's going to work harder for you. And I thought, well, if I'm going to do this challenge, then I want to actually see, what's the best I could get out of it. I mean, I'm not getting the best because then there's even a pro version where it's like $200 a month. And I mean, I'm not doing that, but $20 a month, I can handle that. Okay, so something that I wanted to show you was a specific prompt that I ended up working out with ChatGPT. So essentially, it says use a warm, empowering tone with a conversational voice, make it authentic, slightly playful, and encouraging. Include storytelling or visually descriptive language when it fits, and keep it clear, well structured, and real, no fluff or corporate jargon. So it'll take this actual prompt and remember it for you. You can ask it to remember this for me and use it until I tell you to stop. And later on, you can say, okay, don't use that anymore. I want you now to speak more like this, or don't use these words, use these words, and remember this. If you forget what prompt you gave it to write like, you can ask it to remind you of what it is. Another really cool aspect that it had me play with was creating images. And that definitely takes very descriptive prompts. I tried getting it to give me a Canva template, and I will say I was unsuccessful in that. It supposedly can do it. You can say, hey, here's my branding. You can tell it, here's my fonts, here's my colors. You can upload the colors. You can send it to, say, your portfolio online, and it can go through your portfolio and give you suggestions for improving it, or it can just grab kind of the look and the feel that you have, and then and it'll remember that for helping you create other content. And so I did have it search my website, and I gave it my colors and my fonts, and I asked it to create a social media graphic for me. And yeah, I was trying to get it to push out a Canva template, but it wasn't working. So essentially, I finally just got it to create a ping for me, PNG file. And it was pretty good. The funny thing is, before I uploaded my logo, it actually grabbed my logo from my website and utilized it, but it wasn't perfect. It was a little weird. It was weird. It wasn't exactly my logo, but it's like it redrew it, but somehow it ended up with this weird artifact in the center. So I actually uploaded my logo so that it will now use my logo on the things that it creates for me. So, I mean, I think the future of it in terms of creating images is going to be amazing. Just right now, it is definitely like a preschooler, I would say. I find it really great for getting ideas for graphics or brainstorming ideas, and then I'll just recreate them myself, either in Canva or Illustrator or something like that. I did get it to create an image of Milo and I in my van, which was super fun. It took me a little bit to get it, so I had to give it a prompt, and then it shot out a picture. It wasn't quite what I wanted, so I kind of had to figure out, like, make it brighter. I wanted it to be more watercolor look, and then I told it I wanted the van to actually be like smaller in the scene so that I could see more around it. I needed it to be in horizontal, like, landscape ratio so that I could use it on YouTube. And then I was actually able to ask it to take some of those parts of the images, because I have a surprise for you, which I'll share with you next week. And yeah, so more on that next week, actually. But that's going to be pretty cool. I'm pretty excited to see how that turns out. So a prompt that I used to create this thumbnail was create a minimalist, dreamy, flat lay image of a messy desk on the left and a time-blocked calendar on the right. Use muted tones, clean lines, and a diagonal divide. Make the left side feel heavier and darker, and make the right side lighter and more spacious. Leave room for text at the top. So this is what I got. I think it did a decent job. I don't love it, but I definitely could see where I could get the visual to go and recreate something myself. So if you think about it, you could use ChatGPT to create these images for you, and it could create the captions that you want to use in social media. And so I really think moving forward, it's going to be used so much in social media, and I do hope that it doesn't get to the point to where we all sound like the same person. I do think it's really important to stress that you need to edit these things yourself, and you need to fact check anything it gives you, because like I said, it's not searching the internet, it's just taking out of what it already has in its bank. Unless you ask it to specifically read specific things on the internet, then it takes that and it's now memorizing that and keeping it in its memory bank as well. So it doesn't know everything. It's not always up to date as well. So right now, I think the version that I'm on was last updated in like September 2024, last year. So about 6 or 7 months ago. So it's not always completely up to date. The most up to date information is likely it's not going to be able to help you much with that. Where I find that it's really helpful is, like I said, using it for a virtual assistant or social media content creation, and even working through problems. So I tend to have an ADHD brain, and I can get overwhelmed when I have too many things going on. And so one of the biggest things that it helped me with last week, which was turned out really cool. It took me a bit to get there, but I wanted it to help me take all these tasks that I have and organize them so that I knew which one to do, like first, next, but then I could also have like a plan. So this was on Wednesday, I think, when I started this, and it actually got to a point where it helped me plan out a calendar system where I now have my calendar looking blocked out by times by clients. So like I'll work on this client's stuff for a couple hours here, a few hours here, this one for like on this day and this one on this day, whatever. So it helped me think through that. So it's a really great as a collaboration tool just to help you kind of clear up things in your mind and get them out onto paper or into the form that you need it to be in. That's the other thing I forgot to say too. When you're asking for the prompts with descriptions, you also want to say what format you want it in. If you want it in a bulleted list, if you want it in an Excel spreadsheet, if you want it, so you have to tell it. Sometimes it will suggest like, do you want me to make this? Do you want me to make this? I know the free version, when I had that, you could only do one Excel spreadsheet and then it would cut you off of the most powerful version of ChatGPT you could have at that moment, and you wouldn't be able to go back to it for like 8 hours or something like that. So just be careful with that, or just know that, I guess. With the $20 a month, I haven't ran into anything like that. So in the description box, I actually have a prompt breakdown for you so that it can help you kind of understand what you should have in your prompts in order to get better information and better assistance from ChatGPT. So go ahead and download that if you'd like that. I hope that this video was helpful. If it was, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't. And until next time, see ya. So I chose ChatGPT. So I chose I'm gonna have so many outtakes from this video. So I chose ChatGPT because I had already been using it. So I chose ChatGPT